Good morning, Simi Rayat. Thanks for joining us here at Yellow Shelf.
Hi, Joe. It's great to be here with you. Thank you for
Uh,
inviting me.
it's an absolute pleasure because I'm super excited to share with the Yellow Shelf audience your new book, Productivity Joy. Simi, what do we need to know about this fabulous book?
Thank you. Look, it's been a project of mine for many years now, and Productivity Joy is all about a formula that I've developed to help busy professionals be effective and feel energized in 5 minutes a day. It's backed by psychological science and research, and it's something really dear to my heart because 4.5 years ago, I found myself at a time in my life, Joe, where I was feeling really stressed, overwhelmed, juggling home, work, a business, two young kids, living in a two-bedroom apartment in a trendy transient suburb in West London called Chiswick. And it just all felt a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I remember this precise moment coming home one day after a long week of work, and I open the front door and I can see, shoes and socks and toys and things everywhere in the hallway. And I can hear all this joy and laughter coming from the TV room. And I tell you what, I was furious. I slammed down my bags and I'm stomping into the TV room. And I opened my door, and my husband and my kids stopped what they were doing, and they looked up at me and they said, "Oh, here comes the bull." And oh my gosh, like they were
Yeah.
saying it in jest, but it was a real eye opener for me at that moment in time, because I realized that, my closest loved ones were the ones that were actually taking a step back from me. They were getting the worst of me.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew that I needed to do something to change, and that change needed to happen with me.
Yes.
We know that phrase of, you don't want to be that person who stomps through your day being like a bull in a china shop. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what that moment reminded me of. And that's when I kind of set out to do my research and look at, especially that time of the morning. The research shows that when we prime our mindset in the morning, it's a great time in terms of how it influences the rest of your day and whatever else follows. So that's what I then started to focus on the start of the day and develop and build and trial and test the 5 Qs formula.
Yeah. And Simi, look, it is fair to share. You have this business psychologist background. You are a keynote speaker. You know this stuff. And to have it hit home,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
it can happen to anyone, can't it? That reflective piece comes sometimes when we least expect it. Um,
It's it's so
sorry.
true, Joe. It's so true what you say. And I think the key thing really there is that, all of the knowledge and the theory and the practice that we have, if we're not actually applying it, and
Yeah.
we're not taking the time to really build it into our habits, the way we think, the way we show up, then eventually we're not going to have the impact that we really want to have. And that was my realization. So I had to do that work really deeply for myself, and then for the formula and what I've developed to be helpful and useful to others out there.
And Simi, just before I move on to the next question about what actually inspired you to write the book, I want to ask you a specific question about the book, the idea of the joy of work mission. What do we need to know about that?
So this is a mission that's really close to my heart, Joe, because the research shows, the studies from Mercer Talent Report, 2024 Talent Report, show that 82% of professionals out there globally are either stressed, burnt out, or at the brink of overwhelm and burnout. That tells us that 8 out of 10 people are merely surviving. They're
Yeah.
not thriving, they're surviving. And you and I know that when people are merely surviving and just trying to keep it all together, when stress and pressure and the demands of life and work are so high, it's really hard for us to experience joy.
Yes.
It's really hard for us to be a joy, to be around.
Yes.
And especially, in our workplaces where most of us spend more than 70% of our waking time either at work or thinking about work, as leaders, as managers, as business owners, we're always interacting with people. We have so much of an impact on people, on those around us. If we're not actually taking that time to connect with ourselves and learn how to really be a joy for ourselves and others, we're not able to have the ripple effect and the impact that we all truly, really want to have. So
Yeah.
that's the heart of the Joy of Work mission, is to help 5 million busy professionals globally.
Yes.
And to kick that off, we have our Melbourne launch starting or happening tomorrow in the Melbourne CBD.
Yes.
And then we have Sydney, we have Singapore, London. We also have in-person launches happening next year in Canada and the US.
Oh.
So it's a global tour. And the aim, really, Joe, is to raise awareness of the Joy of Work mission, and also to invite organizations to bring more joy into their workplaces by equipping their teams and their leaders with the 5Qs formula and the productivity joy tools and strategies.
Oh, fabulous. Simi, I'll make sure I put that in the show notes about the
Yeah.
tour. I think that's super interesting. So, Simi, can you take us through, life in West London in Chiswick to then what inspired you to actually write the book? I guess I'm curious about anything you want to share about your background and actually writing the book.
Yeah, so I think, that phase of my life, I was in what I call productivity drain, where, constantly so many demands on me,
Yeah.
easily distracted,
Yeah.
had this really long to-do list, trying to get everything done,
Yes.
getting a lot done, but at the same time, that to-do list was never really, shrinking. It was only growing bigger. So it left those feelings of feeling unfulfilled and satisfied at the end of the day. And then that realization that I'm actually not connecting in the way that I really wanted to with my family, with my children, my loved ones.
Yes.
I was doing it for my clients and with my clients, and they were having great success. But, having that mirror held up to me by
Yeah.
my wonderful children, who, by the way, really do adore me and love me, but they gave me that wake up call. Um, so I felt that having the psychology background, I've been working as a psychologist for nearly 20 years, working with a lot of corporates, busy professionals, leaders. I knew that it wasn't just me that
Yeah.
was experiencing this. And then that gave me that real impetus to put something really practical and accessible
Yes.
into play. And that's why, I'm really pleased that we actually managed, when we trialed and tested the formula, to get it down to 5 minutes that it
Wow.
takes
Yeah.
to go through that 5 Qs process at the start of your day. Because I don't know about you, Joe, I don't have, if it's anything takes me longer than 5 minutes to do, I've got to think twice about it. And I'm
Yep.
and do I do it now? Do I do it later?
Yep.
So, 5 minutes is very practical and accessible. And I think we can all find those 5 minutes at the start of the day if it helps us to be intentional, effective, experience more joy, and connect better with those around us.
Yeah. Oh, fabulous. And finally, Simi, how do we connect with you? You have a fabulous website. You mentioned about this global tour. If we're curious about the book, we're watching all around the world. How do we connect with Simi and the book?
Yeah, so I'm on all socials, LinkedIn, Instagram. My website has resources for the Productivity Joy book, some really helpful resources for listeners to download. So please, if you're listening, go and check those out. The website is simirayat.com. So SIMIRAYAT.com. And we also have details of the Joy of Work mission. A lot of our updates for the mission are on Instagram. But yeah, more than happy to hear from people who read the book as well, have
Yeah.
questions, they're curious about the five keys formula. And I think it's really about being able to share the five keys formula and spread that joy so more people can be effective and feel energized in that short amount of time at the start of
Yeah.
the day and have a big ripple effect on everyone around them.
And set you as the individual and everyone else around you up for success throughout the day. That's what I love about the morning
Yeah,
piece in this.
yes,
Yeah, Simi,
yeah.
I'll put all that in the show notes to make it easy for people to connect with you and the book and the tour. Simi, thank you so much. Enjoy the journey of the book launch and what's to come with the tour.
Thank you, Joe. It's been wonderful to connect with you and speak with you.
It's a pleasure.